on the day of the inauguration of the first black president of the United States, it is worth considering the effects of the Obama presidency from a pragmatic perspective. Without doubt, the Obama phenomenon will be used by left liberal commentators at home as a stick to beat many nationalists. The rise of Mr. Obama is already being portrayed as a vindication of American multiculturalism which should somehow be emulated in Europe. This is, of course, nonsense, and a moment's reflection shows why. Firstly, there are very significant differences between the demographic situation of the USA on the one hand, and Britain and Western Europe on the other. Like Europe, the USA is subject to massive immigration and demographic change, but in North America, this predominantly originates from Latin American countries whose cultural and linguistic roots lie in Christian Europe. The U.S. is not threatened by mass Muslim immigration. There are no demands for Sharia and few inner-city Islamic ghettos on the French or British model. Moreover, the USA is, and always has been, a country of immigrants. Most African Americans who voted for Obama, although not Obama himself, are the descendants of slaves who were brought to the country by force and whose claim to be Americans is as strong as any white Anglo-American, Irish American or Italian American. Therefore, trite comparisons between the United States and Britain are unwarranted. Secondly, media coverage in the wake of Barack Obama's election victory sought to give the impression that he had been propelled to the presidency, almost by united acclamation of the entire American electorate. A sepological analysis indicates that the truth is rather different. In spite of all Bush's patent failures, white Americans still voted Republican last November by clear margin of 55% to 43%, which would have been enough to put John McCain in the White House, if America still had the same population balance it did 30 years ago. A more startling statistic is that black voters supported Obama by a margin of 95% to 5% and Hispanics by 66% to 31%. Far from demonstrating that race is no longer a factor in U.S. politics, the Obama victory actually proved the preeminence of ethnic affiliation as an influence on voting patterns. Indeed, it showed that the decline of white America has now made it possible for the first time to build a Hispanic black-led coalition capable of seizing the reins of power. Whereas whites were divided during the presidential election, blacks were unified in their common purpose of electing their ethnic champion. The Obama victory is certainly historic, for it surely marks the beginning of the end of the USA as a predominantly white, ethnic European country and in that sense, serves as a warning to nationalists. Thirdly, there is the question of Obama's heritage itself. The media has unquestioningly followed Obama's lead in describing him as black, when as the son of a white American woman and a Kenyan man. He is self-evidently as much white as he is black. It is a clear demonstration of the extent to which the media in the USA, as in Europe, seeks to portray the white identity as a vacuum, which is automatically overridden and trumped by any competing identity. It is as if being white is what is left over when there is no other identity to affirm. It is interesting to speculate whether Obama would have won the White House if he had defined himself as mixed race, or indeed white, and not been able to enlist the support of the newly organized black bloc vote. The Obama phenomenon has an echo of the triumph of Tony Blair in Britain at the 1997 election. It was tempting to get temporarily caught up in the general euphoria of Blair's first election victory, even in the full knowledge that adverse consequences were sure to follow. There is no doubt that Mr. Obama is a talented and able politician, which makes him just as dangerous as Blair. He is young, eloquent and intelligent, and has none of the fake and affected sincerity which made phony Tony pall so quickly. Nevertheless, disappointment with Obama in the USA will probably ensue even more quickly than it did with Blair in Britain. In some respects, Obama's decisive break with the policies of the tired Bush presidency should be welcomed by nationalists. The era of reckless American military adventurism in every world trouble spot is surely over, even though American, and British, soldiers will continue to die in the lingering war in Afghanistan, which ironically, President Obama has pledged to continue and indeed ramp up. Obama's instinctively protectionist economic instincts may well be more to the taste of nationalists, and indeed nationalists in general, than the free market capitalism professed, although not always applied, by George W. Bush. Obama's mixed cultural heritage could have provided the new president with a unique opportunity to strive for a lasting settlement to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which is at the root of so many geopolitical problems. However, in the present climate of economic collapse, it is unlikely that President Obama will have either the time, or the inclination, to take on this intractable issue in the short interval before his political capital starts to ebb away. For President Obama's fate is to inherit a toxic combination of undeliverable expectations and appalling economic conditions, the worst effects of which are sure to crystallize in the next few years. His left-wing economic policies will quickly alienate the constituencies who still wield the real financial power in the land, in spite of the credit crunch. Obama's talent for soaring rhetoric will be of no use to him when hard policy decisions are required and the economic cupboard is bare. No person of goodwill could deny President Obama the right to enjoy his inauguration and the political honeymoon to follow. It just won't last very long.